Record. Hi, everybody, and thank you all for being with us in another meeting, an online meeting of Draw to Perform. Today we have with us, we are visiting M.Lohrum in the Canary Island. Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for inviting us to be with you in this online meeting. We're going. I'll just say about the program today. I'm going to. We will have a short bio about M.Lohrum, and then we will have a presentation slash action here with Madeleine, and few things that Madeleine will show us in terms of videos, new videos that she's been doing in the last year, and more to come. I won't spoil the surprise, but let's go, I think. And of course, after that, we will mute ourselves all, and everybody that would like to ask questions and participate are most welcome. So here we go. Let's hear a very short introduction, but just for a second.
M.Lohrum is an artist based between London and the Canary Islands whose practice explores performative drawing through a range of strategies, including audience participation. She graduated from Central St. Martin's in 2017, and she is currently undertaking her PhD studies at University of La Laguna. M.Lohrum has exhibited her work internationally in the UK, Spain, Portugal, France, Switzerland, Denmark, Turkey, and Japan. Her work has been noticed in relevant international competitions. She has recently won the Trinity Buoy Wharf Drawing Prize in Zeller Stories performance. She has delivered a number of lectures about performative drawing at prestigious institutions and has participated in several art residencies, including the DTP Residency 2018.
Okay. As I said, short, but more in your website. There's quite a lot of information there to read about, and as it said, I will start with like a personal kind of like my personal point of view with working with Madeleine. So Madeleine came to the first Draw to Perform residency in 2018, just after you finished your master degree, actually. And I must say that it was really inspiring to see, not just to see the work of Madeleine, but also to meet with you and to understand the energy and the enthusiasm about this practice, about drawing and performance, and to understand how much it is important for Madeleine to focus on expanding this practice while looking back at things that were done in the past and thinking about how to continue them and how to contribute to this practice. And what I remember mostly in terms of the week that we spent together here in Brighton was your ability to connect immediately to the location that you were placed in. And I think it's it's a thing that constantly we can see in your practice. So when you are doing live performances, it's really important for you to study about the space that you are performing at, learn a little bit about the history, and maybe relate your action to the space and the history of the space, and also this thing of collaborating or sharing the action with other people. It was quite impressive to see there. And yeah, so this is from my point of view, but of course we will talk about many other things. Of course, we are post or not post pandemic, and we want to hear all about your experience in the last year. So welcome, M.Lohrum, and thank you for being with us. I'm going to switch for the speaker view so we all can see you.
All right.
And I think the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Ram, for arranging this virtual studio visit, and welcome all ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. I think I'm going to tell you a bit about my process and about my practice in general later on, but I thought it would be nice to start with the group performance. So I'm going to tell you now about the idea I have, and let's see what happens, because this is actually an experiment. I never done an online participative performance, but I'm hoping that we are going to have fun together, and probably something really cool is going to come out as a result. So the idea I had to perform in group online was kind of, how can I say, like to swap our roles in a way, because usually what I do when I arrange a participative performance from the distance remotely is that I send instructions for people to perform in order to make marks in a space where I am not, right? But this would be tricky because we are all in different spaces. So I thought that this time we could do it the opposite way. Like, you will give me instructions to make marks on the paper, right? And I will perform them. So we will be creating a drawing together, but I will be kind of a drawing tool handled by you. Okay, is that clear? Yes, perfect. Okay, so now maybe I need to remind you to unmute yourselves when you are going to talk. That's quite important. And now I'm going to give you a running order, right, to participate. So, which I'm going to take from the participants box here. So first participant is going to be Ram. Then second participant will be Caroline. Third would be Sarah. Abdul would be number 4. CWs, who's that?
Do we have CW here?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know who's that.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be number 5, right?
Number 5, CW. Okay.
Elizabeth would be number 6, Elizabeth Hammond. Then Elizabeth Thomas would be number 7. Felicity number 8. Jen number 9. Jenny Klein number 10. Camila number 11. Laura Greenway number 12. Lore number 13. Tasmin number 14, and then Violin number 15. Okay, everybody got it?
I see that we have another participant. So did you include it?
I think so. I just read out the list. So.
Oh, the list of.
Is there anyone that I haven't mentioned?
Please, if there is anyone that Madeleine didn't mention, just unmute yourself and let us know. We're good, I think. Well,
I think that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so each of you will give me 2 instructions to make mark on a piece of paper, okay? And I would like to ask you that those instructions will produce marks that are as abstract as possible. I mean, like, please don't ask me to draw a sun or a heart or something like that, okay? As much as possible, I mean.
So more concentrating on the producing of marks,
Yeah,
and the way to produce marks than to create shapes.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
Mhm.
It's everything clear? Does anyone have any question?
Are we good? Yes, I think we are.
Okay, so now I'm going to change my camera. Can you all see the piece of paper? Yes? Okay, let's start then. Ran, you will be starting, number 1.
Okay. Hi, Madeleine. Please put dots on the paper and try to make noise while you're doing those dots. Please make marks that resembling the movement of a wind. Next person.
Hi. Could you make a mark representing a puddle? And a mark making a splash. Thank you.
Could you twist and scrape?
Sorry?
Could you twist and scrape with your pen?
Squeeze? What? Sorry, I don't understand what you mean.
Twist this.
Twist.
The
So
paper?
turn, yes, the paper or the
sure.
pen. And fold. Thank you.
Right.
Could you make a mark that gives us a loud sound of music?
Of music.
A loud sound like music. Could you show us fear?
Could you do a big, strong, aggressive, vertical mark, please? And a soft, gentle, soundy kind of mark.
Can you make little short dashy marks all up one side of the page, please? and grip your pencil in your fist and do circle around 4 times. Thank you.
Next one.
Can you use your hand as a basis for measurement and measure out the length of the paper? Can you fold the paper in respect to your measurements? Thank you.
With your pencil by pushing and pulling.
Sorry?
Can you make a mark with the pencil by pushing and pulling? Okay. And can you make a mark by squashing the pencil? Thank you.
Can you take your finger and your thumb, placing it on the paper, and the space in between, can you shade? Can you now moist your finger and your thumb and rub that over the shading? Thank you.
Can you make a line that cuts your paper in half diagonally? And can you make a line that cuts the paper in half vertically? Thank you.
Do we have one more?
Can you draw as if someone was tickling you?
If someone was
Tickling you.
tickling me.
Yeah, someone is tickling you and you draw. Thank you. And can you draw as if you had a splitting headache? Thank you.
Can you make marks as lightly as possible so that they're almost invisible? And can you make a mark that feels violent?
Feels vibrant.
Violent.
Oh, violent.
Thank you.
Can you make marks in a place that is unmarked yet? Any mark. And can you, with your hands, pretend that you're erasing everything? Thank you.
Could I have 3 thick, chunky marks that press really hard into the paper? And then could I have 2 light, feathery marks? Thank you.
Could I ask for one big circle to fill up the whole paper? And now to fill that place in the marks that represent dance.
Do we have?
Was that the last person?
Yeah. Madeleine, can we go one more round, or it's enough for you?
Well, it's up to you. If you're having fun and you want to make one more, I'm up for it.
So can we go randomly?
That could be a bit messy, maybe, but
Okay.
yeah, go for it.
So I'm starting again, and maybe if let's go another round, and if somebody don't want it will just keep on him. Okay. So
Just one instruction now, right?
one instruction. Okay. So for me, if you can grab the charcoal, the graphite with both hands, and try to draw with it circles. Thank you.
Can you take the graphite stick and push it through the paper right through to the other side? Thank you.
Can you hide your favourite bit?
Can you put the graphite in your mouth and make lots of short, sharp jabbing motions like you're a woodpecker?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Put the graphite stick in your mouth and attack the paper like you're a woodpecker having a go at a tree.
That was nice.
Can you use your non-dominant hand and focus on a deep inhale and exhale breath? Thanks.
Can you cut the drawing into pieces and draw on each piece a mark? A significant one. Thank you.
Can you find?
Oh, go on.
Can you find your favorite piece from the 4 pieces? And then add 1 mark you think will extend a line in that piece.
Can you line up the 4 ripped pieces and using the side of the graphite, make a thick mark crossing all 4 planes?
Can you draw in the negative spaces of your drawing? Thank you.
Can you take the largest piece and can you follow the outline of the piece of paper, draw following the edge?
So what do you mean, to fold it?
So take the largest piece and then draw just inside the edge, following the edge.
Can you turn this 2-dimensional piece of paper into 3-dimensional? Thank you. I think if it's okay, I will be the last one. Madeleine?
Yes.
Because of the time? Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much for this. I don't know how about you, but I enjoyed it very much.
Me too, me too. It was amazing.
I learned very
hope
much
everybody
about
had
you,
fun.
actually. I'm removing you from pin speaker, and I just said that we really it's really interesting because we were being able to learn quite a lot about you, because sometimes, if I can extend it a little bit, because sometimes when you're giving an instruction, you expect for something else. It's like scores, right? You're doing scores, and when a different person do the things that were in your mind, it turning sometimes quite surprisingly differently. And for instance, when you were making marks, I just discovered that you have this kind of like, I would have somebody directed you and I would expected you to continue more, but you have your own world, like you have your own mark, and you can do like one single let's say mark of a round shape, and even if it's not perfect in terms of how it appears, you will leave it. And I kind of find it very interesting to watch it and to know, in a way, know about you.
Yeah, this probably has told much more about me as an artist than what I'm going to say following.
Okay, thank you all for your
Thanks, everyone.
participation. It was great, really. I don't know if you can clap hands here, if you can hear, but thanks a lot. Okay, so we are moving for the next stage, and I think the next stage will be, I will ask to mute yourself, Elizabeth. Can you mute? So the next stage will be your presentation, right, Madeleine? Okay, so here we go.
So I didn't really prepare any presentation because I thought it was kind of an informal studio visit. So, but maybe I should mention a bit about my practice more, how do you say, more broadly before, and then I will show you a few of my recent works, maybe. So, well, I think, well, first thing to say is that obviously I'm a performative drawing artist. That means that I explore drawing as a consequence or a residue of performance or of performative processes, as I like to call them. For me, the images I produce are important, but the most important thing is my body, my movement, the physicality of the mark making, all these kind of things. So the process is the most important thing to put it short. And in terms of my creative process, it is an oscillation between pairs of opposite concepts, such as intuition and reasoning, personal and universal experience, tracing and tracking, and the most important one for me is control and randomness. I don't like to have more of the 50% of the process under my control. I like to surprise myself with every new work that I do. So my practice is quite experimental. And the images I produce are basically abstract most of the times. The making of my drawings are often based on certain rules or constraints that I set for myself, which could be the use of certain materials or objects or movement routines that are usually inspired by my personal experiences, but I think they can be extrapolated to anyone else's. And what I do is to set these rules, and then the behavior of the materials or the place where I work in, or even the behavior of the audience facilitates to some extent an unpredictable result. As Ram mentioned before at the beginning of the session, I like to work site specifically a lot. I research in my studio like general strategies I can apply later on when I have an exhibition, but then once in the space, I always research the history of the venue, or I try to respond to its architecture as well. So all my performances are always adapted or conceived for that particular space. And I like a lot audience participation as well. I like to arrange sessions in which I give a set of rules to the audience, but it is them to who create the drawing. In this case, it was opposite way, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's it, just to sum up. And today I'm not going to show you any works that I have performed in specific venues, but it is all work that I have been, it's my research from the last year during the pandemic. So most of, all of them are works that I have performed in my studio, and in the future will be adapted to the specific venue where I am performing them.
So Madeleine, sorry for interrupting. So will you be able to share with us, because it's yes, like a studio visit, the situation with your studio, because you are in Tenerife, yes, and you are in London, and also you're doing your PhD. Where is your studio at?
Yeah. So the thing is, today I'm talking to you from home because today is Sunday and it's also summer, and my studio is at the university currently, and I couldn't access the facilities today. But most of the videos that you're going to see are filmed in the studio, so you will have an idea of how it is but you will see it's a very like neutral space. I actually try to keep it blank. I film what I'm doing, and then I roll up the work and I put it in the corner and leave it as a minimalistic space again, to begin from zero again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen now to show you some works. We are quite short of time, actually.
It's okay. We will extend the time a little bit, and people can choose to stay or to leave.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Yeah?
Yes, we can.
Okay, what I can do is to show shorter bits of the performances, just for people to have an idea, but we don't have to watch the whole videos. So this first work I'm going to show you is one of the first works I did during the pandemic when I had my new studio here. It's called It's Crunch Time. And basically, I was trying to work with my feet and with sound. I was trying to crack these charcoal sticks that you see there by walking on them repeatedly from one side to the paper to the other. So for me, the sound is quite important in this performance. And I'm going to show you later some images of the final result as well. Can you hear the sound?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Maybe I'm going to move it a little bit forward.
Will you be able to tell us a little bit about how you constructed it? Like how did you choose to do this way? Like is there any?
Oh, yeah, this work was exhibited in Switzerland last year, and it was a group exhibition I did with two other artists, and one of them we were responding to each other's works in a way. So one of the artists was a photographer who usually takes pictures of cracks on the floors or on the walls. So I wanted to work with this idea of the crack. And so I displayed the charcoal sticks on a kind of crack shape, and then I crunched them with my feet. So that was also why the sound was so important in this work for me, because the sound is also a cracking. Well, and I keep repeating the action until it was nearly reduced to powder. Well, I think that's enough probably. And these are some images of the final result. It was interesting to me because as I said before, I always focus on the process, and the image is kind of secondary to me. So I don't really care about how the image looks like in the end. But in this case, it kind of looked like a landscape to me. So it was, I found it curious. Oh, this is my uni. My studio is up here, by the way. All right. Okay, and now I'm going to show you a few works that belong to the two different series I'm working on at the moment. One of them is called New Flesh, because now I'm writing about the concept of body in my PhD. So and I'm reading Jean-Luc Nancy, and he speaks about like, how do you say, transplants? When you have a part of other body that the doctors put into your body, you know, and this kind of things on, or how we modify artificially our bodies as well. So I made this series in which I am building gadgets that I attach to my body in order to draw with them. So let's show this one first, for example. That's my studio. Medusa is the Greek mythological creature that has snakes in her hair. You probably know it, but in Spanish, Medusa is also a jellyfish. I'm gonna move on because we only have 10 minutes left. This one is from the same series.
Is it a feather?
Yes, they're feathers. Well, you get the idea, I think. And this is the last work I'm going to show from this series. As you can see, I always choose like one kind of movement that I repeat over and over in my performances. That's quite common. Let's move it towards the end a bit. That was quite exhausting. And then I'm going to show you a few works from other series I'm working on at the moment, which is revolves around the pandemic. So what I did for this one was to try to reflect on new routines or new measures that we need to do in your daily lives due to COVID-19. But I am trying to use performative drawing to reflect about them. And to explore somehow how drawing could be a tool for, or how these routines could be an inspiration for mark making or for drawing. Sorry, I'm going to move on because I would like to have a few minutes at the end for questions or what else? This one is a kind of a tribute to all the people who passed away during the pandemic. So I'm just like throwing charcoal powder to the wind, as it was ashes. And then there is this work I made with a friend of mine who helped me, which reflects about the social distancing. So we joined our wrists with this wooden stick, which was 2 meters long. And that stick not only emphasized the 6 feet distance between us, but it also caused that the movements of each of us will condition the movements of the other. And then after this first version, I thought that was a nice idea actually to perform in a group. So I invited 10 people to participate in a group performance.
This is behind the scene, right? Or no?
Oh, no, sorry. Do you prefer behind the scene?
I don't know, you're choosing.
So this is the actual piece,
the
actual footage of the performance. But yeah, maybe I'm gonna show the making of instead, which is here.
Glenn, can you tell us how long was the whole action?
Yeah, it was about 20 minutes, I think, in total.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite surprising because even people who were in opposite sides of the circle were affected by each other. I mean, not only the people who are right next to each person are affecting their movements, but even people who are right at the opposite side of the circle as well.
Really?
Because they are, yes, because they are all connected in a chain, so. Oh, it was 15 minutes actually, not 20. All right, and that's all from me. I think we could now have a few questions or comments if people want to say something.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for it all, actually. And I'm sorry we're running a little bit over time, but usually it's happening with these meetings because there are quite a lot of things to brainstorm about. And yes, so I think I would, if it's possible, I won't go first. I'll just ask people to to jump in. So anybody that has a question for Madeleine, please unmute yourself and.
Well, there are 12 comments in the chat box, so maybe that's
yeah.
one of maybe that's some questions or.
No, until now there's no question. Yeah,
Okay.
there's questions about the materials that you used. If it's ink or charcoal, I think it's about the feather one, isn't it?
And with the feather one, I was using graphite powder actually.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
And the other one with the one where I was using the bucket and the liquid material that was diluted acrylic, black acrylic.
Excellent. Anyone would like to ask Madeleine a question? Please do.
I would please, if I may. I love the work in Trinity Buoy Wharf, and I wondered if you always show the video with the outcome drawing or whether you ever show them separately.
It really depends. Like that particular work, when we all did it the first time, like the original piece, was exhibited in the museum along with the video of its making. So it was kind of an installation with the drawing and the video. But then for the Trinity Buoy Wharf Drawing Prize, I submitted it as a moving image work because I thought the video was it stands on its own. So. But sometimes I have also exhibited only the drawing without the video because I kind of I'm interested as well in this idea of people kind of reading the performance from the drawing and imagining it instead of witnessing it. No, so it really depends on every work.
Thank you.
Madeleine, would you mind talking a little bit more about your PhD research? I'm also a PhD student, so I'm doing a similar thing. So I'd just be interested to hear about where you're at with your sort of understanding of the body and how that's informing the practice at the moment. Just love to hear a bit more about that, if that's possible.
Well, that's going to be kind of tricky to sum up.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I'm researching those concepts that I feel are more connected to my individual practice because I'm doing my PhD is half practice based, half theoretical. So I'm producing a body of work along with the text that I'm writing. So for the text, I'm researching artists, of course, but I'm mostly reading philosophers and anthropologists and sociologists as well, because I feel they are really relevant, especially for the concept of body. And particularly the ones that I found more inspiring in my case were Jean-Luc Nancy, as I said before, and Hans Belting as well.
Thank you.
So yeah. But you know, it's a really wide concept that could be approached in many different ways. So of course there are a number of theoretics that you can research on that, depending on how exactly you want to write about your body. So
yeah, you might be you may have come across this already, but you might be interested in Carrie Nolan's idea of gestural I cans. If you haven't come across that, I found that quite useful.
Sorry?
I'll stick it in the chat for you,
Okay.
but she talks about how we extend gesture through kind of bodily regimes.
That sounds interesting, yes.
May I ask you, what was your experience tonight being, you know, the place is important in your case, but the fact that place was online, how did you experience that?
Yes.
Well, I wasn't sure about what was going to happen because it was the first time I tried something like that, but I have to say I'm really happy. I noticed that you guys were engaging a lot in it and probably having as much fun as I was having. So that's really important for me, like to have a playful framework to work with, you know.
Yeah, and sorry, as you said, your expectation is not the outcome, it's the process.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
But I have to say the outcome looks amazing anyways. I like it. I'm going to keep it. I wasn't planning to keep it. It was like just something to make marks on, you know, but I really like it. So thank you everyone for participating.
Hiya. It's really nice to like meet you virtually. So hello.
Yeah.
I really loved the centaur piece. And I just wondered, how did you decide on the movement for that piece?
Well, I was thinking of a playground game, which I don't know how to call in English actually. But it's that game where there is a grid on the floor and you throw a stone or something and then you jump on the squares. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's called hopscotch.
Okay, good. So I was being inspired by this kind of short jumping, but not necessarily working with a grid. But my inspiration came from that game.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I must say that all those sessions that you shared with us from this series, it kind of like a little bit reminded me like a connection between the body and kind of like animals. So like animals' behavior kind of like went into my mind when I saw all those possibilities of how to draw.
Yeah. Actually, animal behavior is something that I started researching some time ago when I was still in London. But I mean, before the pandemic, way before the pandemic. But I didn't carry on. I don't know why. And then I always choose my titles after I have done the works. And I had exactly the same feeling that you just mentioned, Graham, when watching the performance afterwards. So that's why I decided to pick, even though the series is called New Flesh, because of this processes that I'm making for myself, I decided to choose individual titles for the pieces from the mythological creatures, because they kind of look like animal movements to me. But the first one I did was Medusa, and it totally reminds me of the snake-headed woman. So
do you find the place where, because you spending your time between London and Canary Island, do you find that those places inspire you differently in the way you kind of like create, like when you are creating in the Canary Island, is it different from when you are creating your pieces in London? I mean, in the way, not in terms of movement but is it because you are in the Canary Island, I related more to animals, let's say, in those pieces that you did there, or it's not necessarily?
That's a good question. I would say not necessarily in the case of animal movement, probably, but I do come out with different ideas when I'm working in the Canaries or when I'm working in London, but I think that probably has to do with the conditions of my working space. Because here my studio, it's much, I have how can I say? I have more natural light and I have a bigger space, so that, you know, the space always conditions my work a lot, even when I'm working in the studio. So probably there is some kind of influence from the facilities where I'm working.
Yeah, and probably the light is quite different also.
Yes, the light is very different as well.
Talking about your studio, I was wondering, why do you roll up always the drawings, put them in the corner to start afresh? Don't you feel like using like inspiration from your past works? Or how do you get the inspiration once you're in your studio?
Information.
Inspiration.
Oh, you will be surprised, but I never think of my previous works as an inspiration. I always get, my ideas always come when I'm falling asleep, actually. I think I've told you before. Once one time we talked on Instagram about this, because you have also these falling asleep drawings.
Drawing at night, yes.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right.
So I don't know, you know, at the end of the day, you always have like ideas moving around in your head, and for some reason when you lie down, they all kind of fit together somehow. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
When you set your, when you can go, Elizabeth. Do you want to go?
No, it's okay, Violin.
Okay. When you set yourself a set of constraints, of rules, do you change them during a performance, or do you have ideas for a new performance? Do you stick with your first idea? How do you work with constraints?
No, I always stick to the first idea. Sometimes I have different movements or different possibility comes to my mind in the middle of a performance, but I always stick to the initial rule and then do a second performance with a new idea that came to me. Yeah, for me, it's really important because it's also exhaustion and also the lack of control over materials makes the rest. You know, I always need like one simple rule or two simple rules, like for example, using graphite powder and jumping, that's it. And something starts really rigidly and really organized, and little by little it becomes messier and messier, you know. And there is always something unexpected happening on the way. So I think I'm quite purist, but it's only because I've realized I only need like two tiny things to start working with, and then the situation will give me the rest of it, you know.
I think this is a good time to ask you about black in your work, because you are quite strict into black while you're performing, while other performing, and also the use of the color in the drawing. So tell us a little bit. And did you ever try working with different colors?
I have used it, other colors sometimes, very few times, where the venue invited me to do so. Like, for example, in Turkey, I was working, I made a performance, I was working with, how do you say, pepper puree? Because it was pepper puree, because it was a common ingredient in their gastronomy.
Mm-hmm.
And also I saw it drying under the sun everywhere. So I decided to use it because I thought it was quite site specific. But normally I tend to work in black and white, first of all, because I tend to be quite minimalistic and I like things to be like really, how can I say? Yeah, like, yes, like really reduced to the minimum thing, you know? And also because I think color kind of this, well, also color is more for me, not necessarily, but for me, I associate more color with painting and black and white materials with drawing. That's one thing. The other thing is, I think color may be a distraction from the performance, from the action itself. So I've decided to use black and white in order to help people to focus on my body and on the movement and the marks, you know, rather than, I don't know, getting distracted with the colors.
Saying that maybe in 10 years from now, you will be back to this.
Yeah, well, I never refuse to use them. I mean, it's just how I feel at the moment.
Of course.
It's not like I'm not changing my mind ever again.
Of course, it's very individual.
Yes.
Where we are using things.
Yes. Also, I like a lot. I simply have like a lot black. Like more than half my wardrobe is black. So I wear black. I like black. So.
I want to ask about the performance you did with the throwing of the charcoal powder to dust. We shall return. Did you have in mind just the action of throwing the dust? Because when I looked at it, I don't know if one would say it's ephemeral. I could see these movements of the dust, and you know, it's like forms that sort of came. Was that part of the thought, or is that something you see in the video afterwards?
Well, that was thanks to the wind, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think that would happen if there wasn't wind.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
So you did it outside? Sorry.
Yes, it was the one with the volcano in the background.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what my original idea was to throw the powder outdoor in a beautiful location where you would go with ashes of your beloved one that passed away or something like that, you know, because it was, as I said, it was a tribute to all the people that passed away during the last year and a half. So I don't know, I thought about the location because that's a very beautiful spot that I knew beforehand, and I thought about the action of throwing the powder. But luckily there was kind of, it wasn't a strong wind, but there was a breeze that kind of erased the ashes away, the powder away. So that wasn't something that I planned on purpose, but I think that was beautiful, yes.
Yeah, you didn't have an audience, but you had the wind.
Yes.
I wanted to ask about the exhaustive part of the work, because obviously many of them are really physical, particularly your sort of preparatory works. How much do you think about that or consider, or how much does that form part of the work? Do you keep going until you literally, your muscles are like, I can't do anymore? Like, does that form kind of another limit?
Well, in the cause of exhaustion is actually my lungs who tell me to stop because I'm a smoker as well, so I can't bear it for a long time, you know. But yes, I like to work with with body limitations. You know, sometimes it is exhaustion, sometimes it is my body flexibility. So it really depends on the case. In the case of body flexibility, perhaps it's not the body who tells me to stop, but the drawing maybe. I don't know. I mean, I know I said that the images I produce are secondary to me, but they are still important. And I still listen to what the drawing is telling me when I'm drawing. So sometimes the piece of paper says stop, you know, and that's the end of the performance.
I saw that with the beautiful feathers, how you were moving it across the page, and you could tell that you were allowing the marks to come from the page as much as you were sort of putting them on there. And your prosthesis, what we saw of them today, those in themselves to me were drawings. It was a wonderful mix between sort of almost like design and drawing, and then the black, and then the whole presentation of you, especially with that kind of concrete space, like that framed. I see drawing everywhere, but your work in kind of all aspects for me really like shouts drawing from these beautiful, those feathers. I when are you marketing those? I would love to buy some of those feathers.
Oh, I got them in AliExpress. You can get them so easily.
You didn't make those?
No, I mean, I got the feathers, and then how can I say? I stick them to the gloves that I was using. like I build up my gadgets, but I always buy the things separately and then put them together. So
the gadgets would be a drawing on themselves, like exhibited.
well, that series is going to be exhibited in a few months here in the Canary Islands, and my plan is to build a kind of installation with the video, the resulting drawing, and the gadget, of course, next to them.
Wonderful.
Can you, Madeleine, can you maybe summarize and tell us a little bit about your future plans that you have?
Yeah, sure. Well, at the moment, the next thing I'm doing is a solo show in the Canaries, as I said. Then I have a group show in here as well, which is a short list show of a competition. Then in the beginning of November, I'm going to Portugal for a residency. And I think that's it. And then I have a few conferences. And then in May next year, I will have a solo show in London as well.
Excellent. But
And
we'll see you before in September, I think, no?
Huh?
We will see you before, I think, in September, you said, or no?
No, that's here.
Ah, okay.
Well, I may go into London for a few weeks, but it all depends on how the situation is with the pandemic. So
of course,
I still don't know. But in May, I will definitely be there for the solo show. I will have it at the Stone Space. You're all welcome to attend if you fancy. And we are going to do a participative performance in that one as well. So it's gonna be fun.
Looking forward for this. I would like to say thank you. Thank you very much, Madeleine, and of course, and thank you all of you that stayed with us and took part in the action. And thank you for brainstorming about mark making. I hope to see you again next time in the next meeting of Draw to Perform Online. So thanks again.
Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.